Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. For today's card, I started with a piece of Canson watercolor paper taped to a board, and then I took a polka dot stencil and taped it over top of it. I'm going to be using some Ranger white texture paste, and I'm mixing it with a whole bunch of different colors of Distress Oxide ink to create a rainbow pattern. This first color that I'm using is Picked Raspberry. Underneath my board, I have my craft mat, and I'm using that to do all of my mixing on. So what I do is I take the ink and I smoosh it onto the craft board, and then I use my palette knife to mix in some texture paste until the color is really mixed in with the paste and you can't see any more white. This second color that I used is Fossilized Amber. I meant to use the spiced marmalade before I used the fossilized amber, but I accidentally skipped it, so I just came back in and put it in between the pink and the yellow colors. The green color that I used is Twisted Citron, and the blue color is Salty Ocean. This mixing is definitely sped up. I cannot move that fast. I wish I could. So when I spread this texture paste across the stencil, the first thing I make sure that I do is cover up all of the circles that I want covered. The second thing that I make sure to do is kind of go back up into the previous color so that they mix a little bit. And then I go over the whole thing and kind of scrape as much paste off as I can without taking away from the actual circles. This purple color that I'm using is Wilted Violet, and that finishes up my rainbow. It's really important when you use texture paste that you make sure to clean off your craft mat and your stencil right away, and I just used some soapy water to clean mine off. I set that panel aside to dry, and I pulled out my Misty tool to do some stamping. I have this circle of Bristol smooth paper that I die cut out using one of my Hero Arts Circle Infinity dies. I stamped one of the cats and one of the sentiments from the Catitude stamp set by Pink and Main. The sentiment that I chose to use says, "Always keep a positive catitude." I love this stamp set so much. It's one of my new favorites. So I'm coloring in this cat with my Arteza Real brush pens, and the first color that I'm using is Smoke Gray. In case you're new to my videos, I always use Bristol smooth paper when I color with my Arteza markers like this. I do not have good luck with any other kind of paper. The second color that I pulled out for this cat is the Ash Black color. I wanted this cat to kind of be a black cat with some gray and white accents, but when I do a black cat, I don't want to just pull out my black marker and start from there. I want to start lighter and work my way up. If you just color the whole thing black, it's going to be really flat and not have any details or shadows and look really unrealistic. So you want to really work your way up to that darker color by starting light. Another thing that I thought I'd mention for when you're coloring with Arteza markers and you're using Bristol smooth paper is to be careful about what ink you choose to do your stamping with. I really like to use Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. It's a dye ink, and dye inks generally dry faster, which is really good for Bristol smooth paper. If you decide to use a pigment ink, be careful. Pigment inks already dry a lot slower than dye inks on regular paper, but on a Bristol smooth paper, it's going to take even longer. And if you start coloring with your Arteza markers before it's done drying, it'll smudge and smear all over the place. Anyways, back to the coloring. After I finished up with the Ash Black color, I came back in with the Smoke Gray color to kind of blend those two colors together a little bit better. And then I came in with Dolphin Gray, which is a really light gray, and I used that on the patches of the cat. The last color that I pulled out is the Bubblegum Pink color, and I'm going to use this for the cheeks on the cat and the ears. Next, I used my white gel pen and I added a few little dots to the cheek, and then I also added a couple highlights on the tail. I used my ATG gun to adhere a piece of black cardstock onto my A2 size card base. I then took my texture paste panel and I used my ATG gun again and adhered that onto the card base. You might notice the black circle up in the top of the screen. I did take the next size up circle die from my Hero Arts set, and I cut it out of some black cardstock so that I could put a border around this cat circle. Next, I popped that up with some foam tape right in the middle of that texture paste panel. I cut out a nice long piece of black and white twine, and I'm going to wrap it around that black edge of the card 3 times and then tie it in a bow. And this twine is wrapped around the inside of the card so you can see it when you open up the card, but that kind of thing doesn't really bother me. So I pulled that bow to the size that I wanted it to be, and then I just snipped off the ends. The last thing that I did to finish up this card is I used some Wink of Stella, and I used a lot of Wink of Stella. I went around that black circle, and then I actually added Wink of Stella to every one of those circles, which did take some time and it was a little bit tedious, but I don't mind that kind of thing. I found it just relaxing to sit there and color each circle in with the glitter. Once I finished going over all of those circles, this card is all done. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this colorful cat card. All of the supplies that I used in this video can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed watching today and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I do 3 new videos every week, and my next video is going to come out on Friday. Again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great day today.